Yeah, Gail, that's great, and it is really exciting, isn't it, that we've got our first guest of the day, which is fantastic. So, without further ado, we're going to introduce our first guest, which is Andy Steele. Andy, good morning and welcome.
Morning. How are you doing, guys?
Yeah, we're really well, thank you, and really appreciate you joining us as well. I mean, Andy, I'm going to get straight into, as I always do each week, I'm going to get straight in with those kind of questions. I think my first question to you, which is a sort of burning one, and I'll ask people to go and find out a little bit more about you as well. But when I was doing my research, I mean, I'm really intrigued how someone who was in the Navy ended up in the Southeast, and from what I can see, fell very much in love with the environment and trees, and a real transition into business as well. So just give us that sort of potted history from naval days to what you're doing today.
I went across to Sri Lanka to work in the power sector, so I was polluting the atmosphere. And then I was headhunted to go and work for a forestry company, which I saw the light and saw that trees remove carbon dioxide. So I thought it would be great, and so I could follow my passion.
And just tell us a bit more about that passion. You know, let's bring us up to speed with what you're doing today.
Well, it started off, we took a group of people to the Burmese border to plant trees at an orphanage. And that led to me realizing that it didn't matter about finance. It was about the most important thing is your time. And if you can give your time back to doing something you enjoy, great. And if you can create a career out of it, even better. So we focused on Asia for 15 years. We planted 3 million trees in 7 different countries. And then I came back to the UK about 18 months ago, 2 years ago, and got involved with the Northern Forest Initiative. And that's led to what we're doing today, planting trees in Yorkshire and hopefully further afield.
And before I pass on to Gail, I mean, one of the big things for me in our audience in particular, you know, it's about business owners. And for me, really, you know, you've set the charity up, you're doing these great things, but you've faced the same challenges as a business owner. You've set something up, you know, you've got to find funding, you've got to find people, you know. What challenges have you found setting this up, and how have you really overcome those?
I'll go back to the early days. I set up a business and the charity in parallel, and I don't think people appreciate that running a charity is the same as running a business. So the challenges are the same as any business startup, any entrepreneur. You've got to find the money, you've got to find the right people, you've got to find the projects and then put it all together. So I'm not averse to hard work and rolling my sleeves up as everybody else does to get the job done. And I think there's so many challenges business owners face. You know, you could talk all day about them. Where do you start? Where to get the money from? Is the concept working? Have you got the right staff? There's so many, and I think we just take them one by one. You know, they're all, in my opinion, they're all speed bumps on the journey, on the road, and you've got to overcome them. And I used an analogy before that, you know, you've got to be willing to run at a brick wall in the true belief that you're going to knock it down. And the day you wake up and you're not willing to run at that brick wall, then you need to change your mindset and change what you're doing, because you're in the wrong job or you're in the wrong business.
And I think you're absolutely right there, Andy. And I know, you know, Gail's brought you to today's podcast because I know she's got embraced the passion that you have for the charity. So I'm going to pass on to Gail, who's got some really key questions she wants to ask as well.
So Andy, if that's okay to call you Andy. So I've got involved obviously with the charity work. It's very close to my heart. I know in COVID, getting out in nature with the trees massively helped my mental health, and subsequently with the charity work that you're doing. So just tell me a little bit more. So what does the charity actually involve and what does it do?
Well, we started out just planting trees. PAC Foundation stands for Plant a Tree. And it was simple. That's what we were aiming to do. But what we've realized is that we've gone beyond the environmental issues, the biodiversity element, the wildlife habitat creation, because we now, as you've just mentioned, realize that green spaces have got a significant effect on people's mental health and well-being. And if you track back, when I came back to the UK and got involved with the Northern Forest Initiative, there's a lot of money out there for trees, but not necessarily a lot of money out there to plant them. And you start to link the two elements together and look at the nature-based tasks having a positive effect on mental health. And it was a logical step really to start to engage veterans that have suffered from some form of post-traumatic stress disorder and linking the two. And it was a discussion with Yorkshire Water, who have got a mandate to plant 1 million trees, and they asked how they were going to do it. And I simply said, let's put a team of veterans on it. And that's led to the establishment only recently, in the last few weeks, of the Green Task Force. And the Green Task Force is a subsidiary of the PAT Foundation, and that's aimed, the charity's aim is to get trees in the ground, but the Green Task Force is our way, it's a pathway to employment for veterans, and where we can be engaged commercially on tree planting projects, but beyond that, in the summer months, estates maintenance, groundwork, and other projects and initiatives in parks and open spaces. So we've been talking to number of local authorities and companies on work that we can be engaged with going forward. So I think that in a roundabout way, so it comes back around to that's my passion.
Exactly, and I totally agree with you there, and it's great, and you can really see your passion with doing this. You've kind of answered my next question, which was what do you want to achieve with the Green Task Force? But I think, I've got involved recruiting the veterans because I too think what a great way to get people back into work, boost the economy. It's great for the mental health side as well. So you've kind of answered my second question there, thank you very much. But what I'd like to finish off with is, you've mentioned it's your passion. What do you want to achieve long term with this?
Well, first and foremost, the Northern Forest is a 25-year project that will take, will plant 50 million trees. So our aim really is to continue to act as a delivery partner for 2 of the community forests in the area. But the larger picture really, and that's starting to gain traction, is to expand beyond the Yorkshire region. The 11 water authorities have made a commitment to plant 11 million trees, and there's a significant drive to plant more trees around the UK. So we're talking now about setting up regional units of the Green Task Force so we can undertake work in different parts of the country. Already, since we've started talking about the Green Task Force, we've had former colleagues who are now veterans looking to get involved in South Wales, in Gloucester, in the Southwest, and over in Manchester. So it's moving forward at a rapid rate of knots, and from a business perspective, that's positive, and the workload is there, the contracts are there, the local authorities are going out to tender, so it's now for us to put our name in the hat and move forward.
Great questions as ever, Gail. And Andy, just to wrap up, I've got one more for you. And we've got business owners watching, and already you've spoken about the initiatives, and you're trying to now push it across the UK. For many business owners, they can get involved in charities, they can get involved to help charities, but it's also good to get their business name out there as well. So there's very much that positive from both sides. So in terms of what you're looking to do, how can people get involved? What can they do to help?
Well, from a charity perspective, obviously, if people can donate to help us plant trees, that's always fantastic. And charities can't survive on thin air. And, we've gone through the hoop, really, with the Oliver Twist Act, which is, please, sir, can I have some more? And it gets a bit tiresome trying to ask for money when you're doing such a great job. What we see going forward is helping a lot of veterans get into employment. Any elements there of support, if there are opportunities to get involved with work, when we talk about the larger companies, if they're willing to engage with the Green Task Force on some commercial contracts, that'd be beneficial. And in terms of the smaller, the SMEs, what we're finding is quite a lot of companies are wanting to get involved, not because they have huge marketing budgets, but they want to give back. And they can see from a brand position, if they've got strong brand equity, that if they can demonstrate they're giving back to community projects like this, then they can use our logo and show that they're supporting us. And that's another element really that we're finding is positive. Certainly in the East Yorkshire area, we have a number of businesses that support us in this region.
Well, thanks ever so much for joining us, Andy. It's been great to have you on the podcast. Some great insights there, and a massively worthwhile cause. So keep up the good work, and we'll put details on how you can get involved as well. Thanks ever so much. Bye-bye.
Brilliant. Yeah, thanks again, Andy, for joining us. It's been great, as Gail said, really insightful and that, and certainly I know lots of our viewers and listeners will be wanting to get involved as well. So thank you again, and we hope we can interview you next year and see how the project's going.
Look forward to it.
Thanks. Bye now.